Dominion. Hey now. Wildstar. Time to watch Late Night Dominion. Dominion. Hey now. Wildstar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Late Night Dominion, episode 33. We're moving along. We're getting there. I'm your host, Aegon, the Ginger Techno Mage, along with the muscle-bound, slightly drunk Blank Space, Nexus over here, the lore whore, and guest hosting, Econ PvP genius, and all around will steal your wallet whenever he gets a chance, Anhrez. So, let's get on with the show.
What's going on? This week, we're going to go over, as always, the weekly news that you folks may have missed, didn't see, didn't hear about, and then we're going to discuss the year in passing. We're going to say goodbye to 2013 and say hello to 2014. Normally, we'd have kitty cat chat. I think tonight we got the fax machine. If you've got breaking news from Carbine, I doubt it. I believe they're still on vacation. Questions or links, send them on in to Fax Machine. We'll see him over here in chat. Make sure to check out and follow this Twitch channel. Check all of us out on Twitter and like our page on Facebook. With that, we're going to hop into your Wildstar weekly news that you guys need to know. First up on the list here is an engagement announcement. Congratulations from Late Night Dominion to Chris Hanel and Jasmine Hruschak. Best I got for you. Chris is the cinematic designer for Carbine. You can check out the link right here to a picture to her Tumblr, and congratulations to those guys, and happy rest of your lives and all that sort of good stuff. Not sure if that scene went up. I'm going to assume it did. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I turned up my microphone a little bit. We also have our next story is the top 5 Wildstar stories of 2013, as according to Wildstarfans.net. They said leaked patch notes being they made them public. That was in April. They dropped the path race class reveals. That's May, July, and November. Dropping the press embargo in December was number 3. Number 2 was Wildstar actually entering beta in April. And then their number 1 top 5 story was the payment model announcement. So you guys are going to get that link and be able to check that out. And the last next story I'm going to tell you about is Anhrez, sitting right here, our guest host for tonight, is got himself a nice new Chompie hat. If you haven't seen this guy, he likes to craft up pretty cool things. So I want to make sure you guys got to see a picture of this. He's also sporting one of the badass t-shirts that you could have gotten if you went to PAX Prime and signed up for beta while you were there.
Awesome. I really want the Chompie hat. Can I just say that real quick? It looks awesome. But we're gonna lead into our next story here of the week, or the last 2 weeks, I guess. We've got a link here by Wildstar Exile Shiphand mission level 14. So a lot of you might have already seen what the Shiphand missions are, but I'll go ahead and kind of dwell into that for a moment if you haven't already heard of what a Wildstar Shiphand mission is. It's pretty much like a solo, and I'm pretty sure you can do it as a small group, 2 to 3 people, side instance that's supposed to be rather easy. There's not too much difficulty there, and it's more of just a little bit of a treat where you get to go and have fun, and a lot of it dips into the lore a little bit more. So if you're anything like me and you enjoy, the lore of the game, that's definitely going to be something you look forward to. And feel free to check out the links that are in chat, like I said. What's great about the one you get to see in this video that's going to be posted in chat is that it kind of takes you off worlds, which is fun to think that Carbine is making it so that you're not completely stuck on Nexus, and they really, emphasize the fact that it is the future. There is space travel. You can't move around. And another thing that's great about it is they mess around with the environments a little bit. So I see people saying I'm low. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I clear on the stream here? I'll bring my mic closer. All right. Anyway, I'll continue. I have to hold my mic. I don't have my mic stand, so anyway, let's continue. One of the things that I really like about the Shiphand mission that you get to see here is that they mess around with the environment a little bit, and you actually have some low gravity, and you kind of have like a Dead Space feel to it. So you've got your flashlight in front of you, and you're going through like some dark hallways and stuff. So it's really fun to see what they're doing with the different mechanics in the game, and how they're messing with the story and finding different ways to provide you with that story. Next here we've got Mission Nexus that also did an Exile Shiphand mission. So we'll be dropping a link for that here in chat. And next we actually have a video done by itsALICE, who I believe is with us here tonight in chat. So we'll post that. And what's really neat about these videos, if you're anything like me and you like very, kind of laid back music and just enjoying beautiful scenes, that's pretty much what these are. He picks different areas in the world, and what he'll do is he'll do a time lapse of different parts of that zone, and he adds some he's got great taste in music. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and look at that. But I'm going to pass it over to you, Don.
All right. Next couple stories we got for you folks is about add-on creation and LUI, which I believe is Lua, if I'm correct. It's going to the two articles are going to come from Hidden Arena. It's going to be getting started with Wildstar add-on creation, and then it talks a little bit about creating your first add-on. Carbine from the very start has been very open about the fact that they want people to make add-ons to create these quality of life things, and also very hefty badass add-ons. Those who have watched some of the streams that are out there, you see people with everything from grouping to looting to all sorts of other add-ons. So they've been saying, hey, please show us what you've got, and anything that's like really awesome. We'll work with potential add-on developers to incorporate their code and what they've developed into the game. It's always tricky for them to do that, but they've been super awesome about explaining, this is what we use, show us what you got. So for those of you who are interested, that's your forte, you like coding, you want to check it out, you're just mildly interested, you're definitely going to want to check those out. And the third one that you're going to get from Hidden Arena is about there's going to be a suite, an interactive suite coming to Wildstar. So from my limited understanding, it's going to be a powerful more package. Let's see, I'm trying to find where this is here. They're going to make it a lot easier for people to be able to create add-ons, and without having this LUI out there, it's not gonna be able to happen. So they're working on adjusting things. So that's a possibility in the future. If somebody like Packet Dancer or somebody else who does add-ons wants to clarify that sort of stuff in chat, please feel free. But those are those three right there. Again, feel free to check those on out.
I think I was muted there. My bad. Moving on in, we've got MMORPG's most anticipated MMO of 2014, which happens to be Wildstar. Whoa, what a surprise. Let's raise our cups to that. But what we've got here, as I said, is an article by MMORPG with Wildstar being the most anticipated MMO of 2014. And there's some big titles coming out in 2014. You look at some of the titles like Elder Scrolls Online, and it's just very impressive to see it leading. And I mean, I'm not too surprised, honestly. I've been a fan of this game since long before it was even named. And if you look at some of the stuff that we've been able to see here lately, it's really not too much of a surprise in terms of mechanics, the art. And some of the articles I'm actually about to mention here talk about how the first thing that you notice is the art style. And some people, I think it's more of like a hit or miss thing. Some people either love the cartoony stylized look to it. Other people just absolutely hate it. I can't remember if I said hate first, but anyway, there's a love-hate thing there going on. Because hate and hate wouldn't work. Some people do like it. Anyway, moving in. So GameInformer, like I was saying just now, is one of those people who writes an article about how they feel about the game. And this next article is about the first 10 levels and, their experience with it. So I think you guys are going to get another link to that. It really goes in. It's a lot more of an article for those who, haven't really sat down and watched many of the streamers go through levels 1 to 15 over and over again over the last few weeks. And Blank Space knows that. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a pain, but I mean, what's the definition of insanity again? But,
when you do shit over and over.
Yeah, there you go. What are you at 23 times now is what you were saying earlier?
The character I'm on now is the 23rd one that I've leveled at this point, so yeah.
There you go. Impressive. My tip of my hat to you. But anyway, feel free to check out that article by GameInformer. It's a good read, as usual. And the next one here is TenTonHammer's PersistantWorlder's beta screenshot album. Now, if you enjoy, pictures over words, which I'm definitely one of those people, I enjoy looking at pretty things, that's definitely something you should check out. There's a fun little screenshot that I'm looking at right now with a guy flexing between two aroused hours, so there's a little bit of humor in there and some very interesting scenes. It looks like got a little bit of mafia stuff going on here. Anyway, check it out. Really cool screenshots. Blank, back to you.
All right. As always, we like to see articles that are well written, and you don't always just want the hype pieces. You don't always want the pieces that are just all about positivity without some sort of, good, objective criticism. That's what we have, on our next article. It's from TenTonHammer, and they talk about the 3 things we hope will improve by launch. You go check it out. If you read over it, you guys will get the link. There are still some missing sounds in the game. They said, we'd like to hear that. We want to feel that game immersion. And I would have to say I agree. You want to feel like while you're running around, you're seeing it visually, but there's also those auditorial cues that you hear that, let you know that, oh, goodness, somebody just went into stealth. So they mentioned that. There was a discussion about racial combinations. Going to leave that alone for now. I'm sure you guys will enjoy a little bit of chatting about that in chat. But the last one is animations. There are still animations that aren't that are lackluster, that need another pass for polish, or they're just not as strong as they should be. I definitely see these things being taken care of. More than likely, they are sitting and waiting to get that approval so that they can then be pushed into the game. Because I know that animation was a big one that's been discussed about feeling this deep immersion. So to see TenTonHammer say both animations and missing sounds deals a lot with immersion and game not compact. What's the word I want? Impact. So I would definitely have to agree with this. The next one we have here is the Wildstar Holidays Winterfest. This is actually an article from 2012. But for those of you who enjoy reading up and having a little giggle about the game and the lore, definitely go check it out. There was something in here. You can get yourself a quintuple strength stain removing lager, which is for the Granox. So you can get drunk as hell while also cleaning your laundry, which I thought was pretty cute. And then there is from MMORPG, it's the Wildstar in-game holidays. So you get a lot more in-depth on that. And then the last one that I have here is Loft 8 Dreams. Wildstar fans put together a nice little YouTube. Happy holidays to the community. So get a second, go check it out. Those guys are great. Nexus?
Perfect. Excuse me. So now we're going to dwell in a little bit more into the PvP aspect of the game. Personally, one of my favorite parts of any MMORPG ever, and I think Blank can agree with me on that one. Basically, the first thing that we have here is a link to a YouTube video by our very own Real Blank Space, where he dives into Halls of the Bloodsworn, which is a 15-plus bracketed battleground in Wildstar. And luckily, the press NDA stopped at level 15, but level 15 was the one level that you could get in. So we were able to experience that a little bit. Those who got to see it live seemed to really enjoy it. Go check out the video. What's really cool about that instance compared to Walatiki is that it's more of a battlefield rush style. Some of you may not know what that is, so I'm just gonna elaborate on that a little bit. It's a tiered battleground where basically you've got different points to capture. And Blank Space, if I make a mistake, do correct me. It's a tiered battleground where you capture a point, and there's a timer, and once you cap it, it opens the door to the next portion of the battleground where you'll start respawning if you die or whatever, and it's basically a push and pull kind of effect. And from what I've seen on Blank Space's stream, I believe Zyback was able to dive into that a little bit. It looks like a lot of fun, but I believe Blank has a comment to make on this.
I just wanted to make sure everybody got the full scope of it, because it's a lot of people have not seen Halls of the Bloodsworn. We were able to get the thumbs up to show the content, even though it scales you up. Carbine said, go ahead, feel free to show off the battleground. 3 sections, you have to break through the walls to go to each one, and it's a race. There's points to capture. There's a center point that you can sit on to get extra points if you have another point captured. So it gets pretty intense. Trying to cap a point, try to cap in the middle. There's different levels. There's things that you can jump on to jump all the way across, to teleport all the way across the room. And not only that, but you're basically racing against the other people's time. So you're trying to either defend or attack, and then you have to try and beat their time. The cool thing about this battleground that I really like is it's not a quick one. It's not like 10, 15 minutes, you're done. No, if the other team defends or you attack slowly, that amount of time could be lengthy if both teams are highly skilled, which I really like. I like to feel like there's a lot of time in there to actually feel, not just capping a mask and stealing it and running like Wild Tiki, but I'm pushing against other people. They're the only thing that's stopping me from going forward. And then we have to either push or stop them faster than they did us. So it's definitely really badass.
Perfect. And yes, to answer Air Viper in chat, it's the same principle as Strands of the Ancients. It's defend, attack kind of thing. So moving on, the next 3 links we have for you here are videos by Zyback. Some of you may know him on YouTube. Some of you may have just recently found him on the Wildstar stream section. But he gives you his level 14 impressions for the Esper, the Medic, and the Engineer. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, oh, great, just another review of the classes that we've seen over and over. But honestly, it's always good to get different points of view on each class and just listen to what people have to say, because some people will notice how to use a mechanic while others might not. Especially we were talking about Halls of the Bloodsworn, and one of the capture points is up on a platform, and something that I didn't really like them. For example, the Esper in Walatiki, I'm not as much of a fan of, but it seems to have a lot of utility on those platform capture points as compared to the other battlegrounds. So it's good to check those out. Zyback has a bunch of other Wildstar videos as well, so check out his channel. Blank, over to you.
Awesome. If you folks haven't seen this, we got kind of a rare gem for you. This is going to be a video done by our own.
Now, Wildstar housing is great for torn. Hello, I'm Mr. Nexus. Some of you may already know me as one of the hosts on Late Night Dominion, a weekly vodcast where we gather to tell you about the most recent Wildstar news. If you haven't, I'll forgive you, and not throw you into the chew pits. But only this time. Moving on, welcome to the first of what I hope to turn into a series of Wildstar housing videos, all with Carbine's blessing, of course. Now, you may be wondering why I'm making a video only about Wildstar housing. Well, it's very simple. Unless you want to end up living like this guy, you may want to listen up so that one day you can live in style like this guy. That's me, by the way, and I'm looking good. Now, Wildstar housing is great for a torrent of reasons. Rest experience, buffs, resources, portals that take you to who the Elden knows where, but these are all things you've probably already seen. So now we move on to the much needed instructional part of this video, where I'll be showing you the essential how-tos. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be well on your way towards a lifelong career in interior design on Nexus. Voila! It's beautiful! Right now, you gain access to in-game housing by reaching level 14 and visiting a friendly neighborhood protostar specialist. So, you can teleport to your plot by either interacting with the housing model hologram or using the recall house option found on the right end of your limited action set. Alright, let's start outside in the yard. You'll notice 2 things when you first beam to your plot. The return teleporter, which will take you back to wherever you came from, and the housing buff board, which is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll show you anyway. When you interact with the board, you can choose between 3 different buffs: a 10% questing and hunting bonus, a 5% PvP bonus, or 5% group PvE buff. You can only choose one of these buffs per day, so choose wisely. Once you've cleared all of the vermin from your plot, you'll want to head over to the unfinished construction zone. Unless you enjoy sleeping in a wheelbarrow, replace the zone by clicking the landscape option on the bottom right menu, clicking on the 2x2 plot on your landscape enhancements interface, and choosing one of the variety of homes at your disposal. These Protostar guys do make great stuff, but it does not come cheap. Once you've made your choice though, step back and watch the magic happen. After choosing your humble floating abode, you're going to want to decorate your yard. Choose any of the 1x1 or 1x2 plots on your landscape enhancements interface to place a variety of plugs. Most of these plugs require a fab kit, which are blueprints that you find while you're out exploring Nexus. Fab kits are stored in your inventory and will be consumed once you use them. In order not to ruin too many surprises, I'll just show you this fantastic patch of dirt. And here's my Moonshiner cabin. Please don't report me to the ICI. Being interrogated by a Makari isn't what I'd call fun, especially when those darn Shu are always inventing new ways for them to probe with. You can spice up your plot by clicking on the vendor option on your UI. Here you'll find bushes, fencing, flowers, statues, and more, as well as a second tab to decorate the outer walls of your house. You can purchase decorative items in and outside of your house using two types of currency. Regular currency in the form of platinum, gold, silver, and copper, and renown, which is a form of currency earned through social activities such as grouping and mentoring. Once you purchase an item, let's say this giant mushroom for example, you can find it in your crate menu option. Select your item, right-click your plot to preview the item, and voila! You can use the pop-up menu to move the item on the XYZ axis, to rotate it in whichever direction you please, and to scale the size. This is the same system that applies to decorative items inside your home. Finally, the house option lets you edit the textures on your roof, your walls, your entrance, and your doors. Oh, and how neat is this? You can even change the sky and the environment. Bubbles! Alright, now that we've covered the exterior, let's head on inside. Definitely not a whole much to look at, but do not fret. We're about to decorate our buns off. Much like the exterior of your plot, you're presented with the menu option Room that lets you change the textures on your ceiling, trim, wallpaper, floor, and lighting. Oh my, this is creepy. Now, you've got the vendor option where you'll find an assortment of decorations needed to design the home of your dreams. A quick note, you can use the crate option on your menu to find items you already own both inside and outside of your house. One thing that I can guarantee you is that Carbine did not hold back on what you have at your disposal to decorate your home with. You can use this, or this, or this, or even this. One of the main things that initially worried me with Wildstar housing is the fact that it's instanced, although you are surrounded by other plots, giving you the illusion that it is open world. Carbine does make it very convenient for you to visit neighbors, and to allow your friends to help build on your plot by adding them as roommates. You can find all these options by clicking on the social tab and clicking the neighbors button. Wildstar housing offers enough to appeal to pretty much every type of player out there. You can use it purely for the perks, or use it to roleplay to your heart's desire. Take these two Makari for example, laughing over a good joke. Or you can host a funeral. Or even a sexy party. Aw yeah. I love my home in the sky. Although my neighbor Tinker Shortcake is always up to something no good. And trying to blow stuff up. I mean, just look at him. What's he up to? Thanks a lot for watching my first Wildstar housing video. I will be making more videos down the road to show off the things that I've designed in-game. If you enjoyed watching this video, please hit the subscribe button and follow me on social media. All that information is provided in the info section below. Please leave comments with your thoughts and or suggestions. I do love feedback. Take care, space adventurers. I'll see you on Nexus.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back. I said back. Is your mic working, Blank?
Cool. Excuse us, guys. The call dropped while we were playing the video, so we had to get everything back and going.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
What? Okay. I think we're golden.
Aegon looks even paler than he normally does as a ginger mage.
Yeah.
Just make a comment like that.
Yeah, pretty pale. Pretty pale today. And apparently Blank can't hear anything.
Uh-oh.
Check your headset settings.
Alright, well, I guess we'll just pick up and keep going until Blank's back. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Yep, Blank's just going to check his headset settings. Sorry about that, guys. We tend to have a lot of technical difficulties. Anyway, moving on. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Wildstar housing is honestly really elaborate, and there's so much you can do with it, and it's fun in so many different ways. And I'm not going to rant on about housing because I do love it, and I could talk all night about it, and we could make an entire show about it, but I won't do that to you. But, you know, leave some feedback on that video. You know, let me know what you guys might want to see later on. And that's good. So let's keep going. Let's see. So the next thing that we have here. Oh, is Blank back?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
How do I sound? Do I sound
so
appealing? I'm low on my microphone. Welcome back to Late Night Dominion. Being abused by bitchy Mordashes for 33 episodes now. I believe we're on to Anhrez, is this correct?
Yes.
I think so.
Let me intro this. Anhrez had his iPad and is going to be using it on his way to market domination. You want to tell us a little bit about what the hell this means and what this might signify for other econ PvPers?
Yeah, so one of the things that all econ PvPers worry about, especially when we have an interesting auction house slash commodities exchange, is we're only making money when we're online. So the ability for us to actually log in remotely has always been a pipe dream for us. The trouble is, and again, I can default to some of you people here that have played Diablo 3 a lot more than me. There was a lot of auction house slash app access, and that created a lot of turmoil. So what I was demoing is that Wildstar's format, using both key and mousepad movement, allows us to use remote control software of my gaming PC. So I'm actually, to test this out, I did a small stream. It's like 5 minutes to kind of show how it's done. But then to test it in real world, I actually went to the DMV for something else, stood in line in the queue, and was still able to hit the auction house. So the exciting thing about that for me is, regardless of when or whatever, if I can continually check the auction house and I can continually check the commodities exchange, I can know when I need to dump something and when I need to pick it up. Because with cred, like, Plex for Eve, there's some serious opportunity for us to make some money. And the more money I make, the more likely I'm able to play for free, which is something that really interests me in my hardcore metagame enjoyment level.
Well, whenever I hear things like this, I get really intrigued because I wasn't a huge econ PvPer, but I definitely was somebody who would, imagine that, drink after a raid or finish drinking after a raid and then go farm. And then I would trade, I'll give you my mats, give me an item that's BOE, that's badass, and I'll sell it and I'll give you some dollar bills back. But when I started to really get into it was when I started manipulating markets based upon a high need and low cost, and I would just buy everything and literally put everything at a high cost just to be an asshole. So anytime you can or have the ability to do that while you're at the doctor's office, check it when you're at the gym, you're at work, that is highly intriguing to me because I don't have to be a badass econ PvPer. I just want to make sure that I undercut whatever asshole out there is trying to sell something so I can make more gold so I can buy more cred. Anyways. Nexus?
There's nothing quite like that feeling of spending 15 minutes putting like 50 stacks of fish that you spent forever farming, and then like 2 minutes later you come back after getting a drink and it's all been undercut and you're just like, I can't do this all the time. But like, yeah, being able to remote access the auction house is something that's very exciting. Back to you, Don.
Back to me. Sure. pretty sure this is still here on Anhrez, so we're going to be poking you a couple more times while we're here.
You bet.
If you guys don't know, Anhrez is the #1 best mother truckin' econ PvPer, according to me. It's official. Count it. Out there. He takes the time to do these amazing streams. You're going to get a link right here. He went over some crafting, which was the Technologist and Relic gathering. If I remember correctly, Technologist and Relic are the ones that you use for making potions, correct?
It's a mixture of making potions that are both kind of healing, delayed, and instant healing. You also can make things that raise stats. And you, of all people, should know, Blank, that it makes Go Juice.
Go Juice!
So in my stream, to be honest, I was just dabbling around, and I get to this open Go Juice, and I read on it, and it's like, hey, this is for like a 10-second. It's like a 10-second speed buff. So I'm like going, you know what? I'll send that over to Blank, and then I send it to Blank, and I hop on his stream. He picks up the mask after he goes into the in the temple. You can steal masks, right? And so he goes in there, steals a mask, drops the Go Juice. He sprints, I kid you not, from the mask place to where the other speed buff is. It's like sprint to speed buff to speed buff. Then he's back turning in the mask. I don't even think the text that says the Dominion has stole a Moody mask. It hadn't even scrolled off the screen yet. And the Dominion. All I can imagine is on the Exile side is hacker, screams. But I'm sure Go Juice will probably be nerfed or something before PvP. But that's what the cool thing about technologists are. Technologists are creating consumables, and then the other thing is that they create components for both people who make armor and people who make weapons. So you can get generic power cores. Think of them as Duracell batteries. But if you spend the time and effort to become an amazing technologist, you can make a super Duracell, which gives you more power for the same item. So instead of making a sword that by default would be plus 12 brutality, if I put in a crafted power core, the exact same item would be like plus 14 with no inherent risk on the craft. So I think that's going to be some interesting people who really tie into, who like the concept of a little bit of engineering and a little bit of alchemy. And they've made kind of an interesting trade skill here. I'm excited to see more people play with it.
I just realized my microphone was open, so if y'all just heard me having a drink, I apologize. Along with that, Technologist crafting and Relic gathering. Got a couple more from Anhrez. We want you guys to see this information. A lot of people come to see, Zyback and myself do PvP. They watch some of the other streams for, different point of views. There was some Mission Nexus stream that was up that was just like low-level impressions. If you're looking for content and information about specific stuff, that's what we're here to hit you with. Anhrez is the guy. He's the man when it comes to crafting and all that sort of stuff. So that's why we're hitting you guys with it. The next one that you're going to get is actually linked over at Wildstarfans. It's about 3 hours of crafting. Architect,
I know, I apologize.
Weaponsmith, cooking, and worm tunnel. No, definitely don't apologize. People want to see this stuff. They're interested.
It was my first stream, right? And so I thought, well, okay, I'll just do weaponsmithing and mining. And so I started out, and then boom, out of nowhere, I kid you not, I get a worm tunnel spawn, which if you're not familiar with Wildstar gathering, certain gathering professions have, let's call it critical successes. Boom, out of nowhere, I get a 2-minute mini game where I know this dates me, but I'm old, look at me. In the radio stations, they'd throw you in the big giant plastic box, and then they would blow money around you, and as much money as you could grab, you get a keep. That's what happens when you fall into a worm tunnel for mining for a Wildstar. You got 2 minutes to grab as much as you can. Nothing's in your way. no mobs, nothing to kill, just grab and be as greedy as you can. And so that happened, and then people were like going, well, what happens if you want to change your profession? And I'm like, well, we could change my profession. So for like 3 hours, take your time going through it, but it is really fun. I have to say that we had a great group of people in chat, in channel, creating a lot of great questions. And we did cover cooking, which if you're not a person who's done cooking before, this may interest you. It actually uses kind of a coordinated crafting, which for me is kind of like when I'm cooking at the stove. I don't use a recipe. I stand at the stove and go, I wonder if it could use more salt. I wonder if it could use more pepper. And I just hope it's edible at the end of the day. And Wildstar's crafting is kind of like that. And you get to experience and learn things. And that's why I'm really kind of interested in more and more people learning more about crafting. So, but if you get a chance, it was a good stream. I was off my AHD meds a little bit. So, but but the crowd was fun. It was a good stream.
Awesome. I will say before we continue that I don't like coordinate crafting. It's a pain in the balls, but it is another layer that makes crafting interesting. So thank you, Carbine. Thank you for being a pain in my ass and not making it fucking cheese dick simple that anybody could do it. It is a pain, but it's awesome. I just want to throw all my stuff together and get easy shit. Wildstar's not going to let me do that, so I'm going to have Anhrez do it for me.
Yeah.
Because it's too difficult for me to mess around with. 2 more links for you guys over Anhrez stuff. You have some more technologists and relic hunting, and you also have tailoring. A little bit about auction house stuff, work orders, a free gathering skill slot, and power core comparisons. Definitely want to check that out. Nexus, I heard you want to tell us a little bit about some more crafting from somewhere else.
Yes, so we actually have 2 articles to post in chat here, one by Zam and another one on Wildstarfans, which we all know very well. The first one is the Zam Crafting Deep Dive, and the second one is Chief Sarkhan's Guide to Basic Crafting. So if you're just being introduced to crafting, I mean, Anhrez explains it very well, quite in detail, which, is a good thing, obviously, but can be quite overwhelming to someone who's just discovering, crafting in Wildstar. A basic guide is always a good place to start and then transition into something like, the more detailed explanations by Anhrez. And by the way, Anhrez, thank you very much because thanks to you, I have been checking out, the architect profession, and it is quite fun, especially when you love housing. So those will be posted in chat for you to check out. And, if you haven't gotten enough crafting, you're not looking in the right places because, boy, there's a lot out there. So back to you, Blank. Tell us a little bit about the classes.
Again, thanks to the Chief here, another article from Wildstarfans. You're going to get a basic guide to classes. Going to detail their role, their equipment, their armor weight, their optimal ranges, their ability resources, their attributes, milestone priority to stats. This is for all of your classes. So starts at engineer, ends, goodness, down at the bottom here looks like stalker is the last one. This is a great breakdown. This is a great resource. If you're looking for information about the classes, the differences, who wears what, everybody always has all these questions. You can only tell so much from a live stream. If you want the nitty-gritty, you want to take a little bit of time to sit down and really figure out the differences between the classes before you get your hands on them, this is a go-to for sure. So definitely go check this out. And another, maybe perhaps the last one I think that we have from Chief this week is going to be a scene that you folks are going to see. It's the guide to your attributes. It talks about what affects your stats, what your base stats are, your primary attributes, and then your secondary. Now, the secondary ones are the ones that, for those of you who like the theory craft, who like to sit around and figure out, is it worth losing health to get this much more crit? Do I need more strike through for a critical chance? If I'm building my LAS a certain way, do I want to perhaps have less of this stat for that? Secondary attributes is definitely a big one you want to take your time and look into. They're all well written up for you guys to check out. It talks about the milestones and also the amps. I don't think the amps were fully in depth yet, but it does explain it, the base functions. And there was also a little bit, at least some pictures about rune crafting. So check that out. And the last one that I have here is there was a class overview video that was put up by Kid Lee. Not a lot of people saw it. We thought it was cool. You know, as part of Late Night Dominion, we make sure you guys don't miss anything. You get a chance to check it out. So you're going to get that if you're watching on YouTube. Tomorrow, you're going to see the link in the information. And tonight, you're going to get it over here in chat. So.
Perfect. Now, picking up, we've got 2 articles by Mission Nexus. I absolutely love this website and the articles that they have. We've done, actually, we had Datix on the show. I mean, that was a while ago now, but he's definitely a really cool guy. He talks about his Spellsinger through Crimson Isle level 3 through 7, excuse me. We'll be posting that in chat. And also Chrissy's Destiny, which is her experience with the medic levels 1 through 3. So if you're curious still about the Arc ship, those are definitely worth checking out. And the last thing I have for you here is the Wildstar healing comparison chart. Now, this is something really, really interesting. I love this breakdown. Blank Space, I'm not sure if you've taken time to actually look at this one, but when it comes to anyone who loves theory crafting for arenas or, you know, team comps or anything like that, this is great. It tells you Esper, Medic, Spellsinger, and, I mean, you guys can go look at it yourselves. And, I mean, there's every possible thing you might want to know about what that healer does. You know, stationary casting, whether they can do it on, you know, mobility, freeform, targeted. You go down there, it talks about buffs and purges and stuff like that. And if you're anything like me and you love using a healer in PvP, this is a chart for you. So definitely look at that. And real quick, I do see some people making statements in chat that there are a lot of links. Yes, because there is a lot of news, and it's been a solid 2 to 3 weeks now that stuff's been coming out, and we've been trying to catch up. So it is rather overwhelming, but guys, if we're showing you this content, it's because it is worth taking a look at. So favorite it, do whatever you got to do, but do check it out. It's great stuff. Don?
All right. And the last 2 news articles that you guys need to know about is a website out there, readycheck.org. They have LAS Amp Builder. I do believe that it's in German. However, it's a great resource. Go check it out. Go mess around with stuff. There's a lot of people that have been putting up different stuff. To me, it's kind of silly because it is a closed beta. It's not even in marketing open beta yet. But it's a cool thing to show your friends, to give them the understanding of how this game is going to work, why it's different, how it's, you know, so flippin' cool, and that there isn't just a static talent tree that everybody has to go down, that you might go and face one guy who's a stalker, but that stalker's not going to have just 2 specific things. You know, you might face one with a more deflect role, or one who's just soaky, or one that just does all crowd controller. It's going to depend on their builds. So, again, go check it out. Take the time to maybe mess around with it. Don't take it too, you know, these aren't like, oh, God, these are the builds everyone's going to have. But it's a cool theory crafting tool. So I definitely say check it out. And last but not least, God bless Zyback. He was running around, and he found himself, I'm not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it yet. There's all, like, everybody's talking about classes, who can play what, who can't. You know, I want a Chua, you know, warrior. I want a Chua medic, whatever. He found himself a little something cute. We're going to give you the link. It's only 40 seconds. You should enjoy it. You should check it out. I thought it was pretty funny. So, with that, folks, we've talked about your Wildstar Weekly News. You guys must be full on information. I hope you highlighted a lot of those, or you know, make sure to favorite them and check them out later. The topics for today's show are what we're going to get into next, and we're going to reflect on the year 2013 in Wildstar. We're going to talk about what our favorite events of the year were. I wrote down a couple, and I'm going to share them. Then it'll be you know, down the line. Big part for me, you know, that was really cool was getting to meet the development team at PAX East. I went with Nexus and some other founding members of Subterfuge Vanguard, and I was not sold on the game. I didn't like the art direction. It looked kind of awkward. I'd seen it before with SOTOR and Guild Wars 2 and Terra, where I just was like, I was not excited sitting down and talking to the developers changed my mind. And then to go to PAX Prime and wear one of their shirts, to sit there and get people excited about PvP for this game, to give them information, and I even did an interview, was one of the hugest honors and accolades that I have in my gaming career. Like, okay, having a highly ranked character in a game is cool. To go and speak on behalf of a gaming company is pretty much the biggest honor I think I've ever had. So that was pretty cool. The next one I have is the payment model being announced. I actually booted up my live stream and was running around the internet just laughing at everybody because everyone was like, oh, it's not free to play. The game is going to fail. It's going to be terrible. You know, it's going to go free to play soon, blah, 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 blah. And I just was like, I love it. I love it. I love the cred model. I love the fact that it's subscription. I love that there's a box. Because even if the game starts with 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, however many people, all I can see is success going forward because they are planning to retain more than the box sales they get. They're not looking just to sell a box. They're looking to sell an experience and a game that you can play for a really long time. Two more that I got here. Kind of was a big thing to us here. We got to have Matt McCarskey on the stream in our early days. We sent a message out and we said we'd like to talk to one of the developers. And Matt McCarskey is the art director for Carbine. Got him on, and him and Beetle got to sit down and really nerd it out about comic books and things like that, but got to really talk about where the art direction came from, how it ties in with lore, which is Pappy, you know, how that changes everything from color palettes and things like that. And the other thing was saying goodbye to Ether, and I just can't say his name, so I just always say Troy. When he was getting ready to leave, he came on the show. We talked about the community. We talked about how much we appreciated him. I enjoyed having him around, and there may have been some manly tears of madness shed that night, but you know, that was another really memorable event. And lastly, the last thing I have to say before I shut the hell up on this is I've been a part of other, you know, pre-launch communities before, and I don't mean my own organization. I mean, being a part of Wildstar has been hands down the most amazing thing that I've done online in a really long time. People are supportive. People are helpful. People are nice. From the first days that we showed up and we started talking to Zap Robo from Central and said, hey, we like your website. Do you mind if we just like post all sorts of stuff and make a little nest here? And he was like, yeah, sure. Don't leave any, you know, poop behind. From that day forward, which was literally right after PAX East, going forward, it's been amazing. Just watching this fan-built community of whether it's websites or content developers or content creators, it's just been awesome. So blessed, honored. 2013 was amazing, and really looking forward to 2014 when we get to see launch. And I just know that there's so much more for this game and for this community. So that's what I got. Aegon, why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, some of your favorite events, some of the things that stuck in your mind about the Wildstar in 2013.
Well, for me, I mean, first on my list, I got the final official reveal after all the teasing and the speculation and the tons of conversations that we had on this show, finally revealing all the classes and re-revealing the redo of all the older classes. That was definitely a big event, which I enjoyed. And then it's been ongoing, and it's still ongoing. The lovely Pappy versus Frost little rivalry they got going on. We're still waiting to see who ultimately rules the world. But I'm sure we'll find out eventually. Maybe in Warplots. Who knows? We'll see. And last but not least, same with Blank, our farewell show to Troy. That was probably one of the hardest events that, you know, we had to do. There definitely was some man tears shed all around. But it was a fun show, and, you know, saying goodbye to Troy and us getting to, you know, do that lost on-air fan, you know, farewell was awesome. I mean, I loved it. I'm glad we got the honor and the opportunity to put that on the air. That's pretty much the events all over the last year that really stuck out to me. What about you, Nexus? What really, struck out to you over the past year?
So, I'm a little confused because I thought we were picking our favorite moments of the year, and you guys are all talking about Aether leaving, and I'm just like, this is really depressing. What's going on? So I guess we're going with most memorable, but I only picked stuff that I really enjoyed, honestly. I mean, a whole bunch happened during 2013. It's crazy to think that much happened in just 8 months of us really being heavily involved in the community. Starting with Eldon Games, which was, the charity event that we organized, and we got to play TF2 for I don't know how many hours with how many devs? What was it, 8, 9? There were a bunch.
We had 10.
So many devs there.
We had at least 10 to a dozen at least by over the entire night. We had 10.
That was fun. I remember that still, and it was that was probably one of my favorites. And a whole bunch down the line, PAX East, which was the very beginning, which was even before that, getting to go to PAX East. And that was one of the first times I've personally even been to a gaming convention, and, being able to share that with Blank and being, Blank's kind of that very forward, let's go talk to them and not be all shy. And I'm more well, I don't know. But, we went over and talked to some of the dev team, and they're such good people. And it's just they're really interactive, and I got to meet Scooter and all them. And the Curse Party was just a ton of fun. I mean, I don't want to rant on about everything that we did. That was so much fun. But I guess 2 of the main community events that happened that were really, really great were Pay It Forward. Because honestly, some of those submissions were crazy. And just to see how creative people get is one of my favorite things to do. Whenever you're in a pre-launch community, but even post-launch, just to see how creative people get with their, with the content. And then honestly, one of my favorite little specific bits was that one night when they gave us the equation to solve to find out what the hoverboard was. I think you all know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys who might be newer to the community might not. But they gave us this really elaborate problem to solve, and it was I think we might still have a picture of it. I'm not sure. We don't have one in the document right now, but we do. I'll tweet it out. I'll tweet it out so that way you guys can see it later. But it was so crazy, and the whole community got together in the IRC channel. We're just working together. And I remember Blank Space waking up at 4 in the morning because he was getting bombarded with messages oh my God, we solved it. Oh my God.
3 o'clock in the morning, my phone blows up, and I'm used to, with different time zones. 3 o'clock in the morning, the whole Wildstar community blows up because somebody brute forced their way in and figured out about the hoverboard YouTube. Then they started to show the algorithm that they made. It was insane. It was this crazy thing that they put together for months for this reveal. And then there were people that still stayed up because they didn't want to brute force it. They stayed up and continued to work to figure it out fully, to the point where on the website you had to put in the Contra code to get into the next page to then find the video. It was crazy.
It was making Blank's head explode.
Most memorable for sure.
We were all Nicolas Cage for an evening.
It was always making.
It was pretty fun.
I was just watching Blank's head slowly explode as we went through it.
I mean, I was so much happened in 2013 that was just. What's that? Oh yeah.
I just
being how did they elaborate and do that?
If you saw, and Nexus will find it for you, he'll post it on Twitter. The algorithm that was put together, you literally had to it was just so much stuff, and it was some of the things were oh, I know what that is, and others were you had to go Google, you had to know it, you had to be a part of some sort of fan base for certain things. It was crazy. So if you haven't seen that, definitely when Nexus tweets it out, you guys are gonna check that out because that was fucking awesome. It was worth. I was I'm not even mad.
They still have stuff like that in store.
Yo, I'm sure. Jeremy Gaffney. The dev that normally goes by, what's his name? I don't want to say his name. He's the one who does disclaimers. He's the disclaimer dev. He's the one who came up with it, and they were go ahead, do whatever you want to do. And they turned into this huge thing where he was asking.
It was the guy getting married
in other languages to make this happen.
It's the guy who just got engaged. It was Chris Hanel.
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows him as disclaimer guy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Everybody knows he's a disclaimer guy.
You guys already got the spiel from Blank Space about how awesome the community is, so I won't get too emotional about it. But honestly, guys, if you're just arriving, this is the right pre-launch community to be a part of. There's so much involvement, and so much going on, and so much fun stuff, and like Carbine encourages it with the stuff that they do and the way they communicate with us, and you know they're always listening to what we're saying. So it's really a ton of fun, and it's awesome to know that it's just the beginning and the game's not even out yet, and who knows what's going to happen after the game. You know, like hopefully, you know, cross your fingers that this is going to be like what we've been all waiting for. But anyway, moving on here. Anhrez, what are your favorite moments of 2013?
You know, this is a tough one for me. My first one, I would talk. The PAX Prime, of course, was a great event. You know, you get a lot of access to a lot of people. I get to meet a lot of devs. But, you know, the after party, not just because they gave me a couple of free drinks and I had my photo taken with Protostar, though that is Christmas card worthy. I actually enjoyed it because they actually set up some laptops for us, some people that I talked to a lot in the community, but finally got to meet face to face. We actually all got to sit around a couple of laptops and talk in a non-NDA covered environment. And for me, that was really the first time that as a person who likes to generate content, I could generate content. You know, I could have something I can talk about. It's open and honest to discuss. They talked about, you know, White Veil and the starter areas that we could communicate with. It was where I could create some great connections with people in the community and kind of start getting more excited about it. So my other one, I'm that anal retentive. I'm actually have dates. So, you know, November 4th, it was our the first class live stream. Why it was memorable for me was it kind of signified Wildstar, the Carbine team actually doing what they said they would do. So in a lot of launches, I've been involved in a lot of MMO launches, and I am horrible. I get so excited, and I am all over it. And then the first time the company lets me down, I'm like, duh. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's just one of those painful things. And Carbine, you know, told us, we're going to, right now, every week, we're going to hit you with a class. We're going to hit you with a stream. We're going to knock your socks off these weeks in a row. And so I waited with bated breath to see how they would treat that first live stream. And I was far, far from disappointed. The banter, the live dialogue with them were great. The fact that they had people allowing us to integrate our chat questions, I was like, this is the access that I wish I've had in other games early into pre-launch. And then, of course, as a content person and an excitable crafter, you know, the press embargo is huge for us. I know it's only happened a couple weeks ago, but you saw the amount of links that just was shared this night. And that's only been since the last couple of times. So I'm excited because I can finally talk to other people about crafting and about gathering, and I can go watch people who are skilled at PvP do PvP, and I can ask questions of them in game. And it's just such a selfishly, I like that. I feel like it's going to keep my interest ongoing, not just waiting for Wildstar Wednesday. I love Wildstar Wednesday, and I'm still looking forward to it. But with Blank Space, I've got Wildstar fill in the blank day. With Zyback, I've got Wildstar fill in the blank day. You know what I mean? Someone's streaming. I guess it's Wildstar Blood Day. You know, I mean, I'll go and ask somebody a question in chat and get selfish, direct feedback. So, I mean, again, the shows like Unicorn Duck Shadow Puppet and Late Night Dominion and some of these shows that are on once a week, I'm always happy to be here, and I'm flattered to be here. But I think you guys' jobs are only going to get more difficult because as more and more great news come out, you guys got more work to do. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, was the press embargo started that. It was almost like a starter pistol for amazing content. And I'm looking at Mr. Nexus up here where we just saw what I call a fan speak video. I declare that as an actual thing. There's a thing called fan speak videos, and we saw one of the first ones tonight.
Right. Copyright
And
L&D.
I can't imagine how we're going to get more and more of those amazing videos. So, yeah, those are my three. I mean, I have memorable ones. You know, did I cry on your guys' show with Troy? Maybe, but I was by myself, so I can't really honestly tell you, because, you know, I'm a man. But I may have had a cold and sniffled a little bit that night. But just from an exciting standpoint, the starter pistol went off for me just a couple weeks ago, and the sprint is going. And so I'm excited. I see everyone in chat. I see the people that are in chat for Blanks and Zybax and Guild Umbra's live streams, and I just see amazing questions happening, and I just get even more excited the more exciting questions that I hear. So.
Awesome. Can I just say this is like
are my three.
One of my favorite conversations we've had, just because it's like we get to talk about all the cool stuff during 2013. It's just like I was looking forward to it. I was just like, I can't wait. It's just like, am I echoing like really badly? Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Oh, I just hear like really bad feedback.
Not me. Not it.
All right. I think we're good. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, guys, what we're going to move on to tonight here is we've got, for those of you new to the show, what we'll usually do is we'll start off giving you all the weekly news. Then we'll transition into our topics, which we'll elaborate on a little bit more. And we just went through our first topic, which was, you know, what we think of what happened in 2013. Now, we've got a couple different subjects that are on the table here that it's up to blank space, I guess. Do you want to maybe have chat participate a bit and vote on what they want us to talk about tonight, kind of like a roundtable sort of thing? Or I know some people have been asking about flying mounts, but we've already talked about flying mounts so much. And if you guys don't want to hear me rant, I would suggest like not talking about flying mounts. But we've got a couple other topics here if you want to list them off, blank space.
Okay, we had a couple different ones, and a couple of them are going to get the axe. There was flying mounts. The deal with flying mounts is pretty sure they said they have the technology, but they're not going to be in. We've talked a lot about crafting. Potential to discuss about PvP. Going to leave that for now. Attribute systems. What I think is our responsibility as, you know, as press, as staff, as us as staff and as press, what do we think the game needs polished before launch? TenTonHammer really did put out a good article. And I have to say this because I am very critical. I enjoyed the fact that they wrote a fucking article and didn't actually write up something, post it on social media, and you go look at it. It's like, hey, check out this article at this homie's website. Like it was an article. I like that. Yeah. TenTonHammer starts talking about what can the game do for improvement. I really think we should sit down and talk about that because people are asking. They don't want to hear all the cool shit. They want to hear, you know, some realistic talk. So we're gonna talk about it. Missing sounds, racial combinations, and animations. What I'll start us off with is this. If you're missing sounds and you're missing animations, you are missing a impact in the game. You are missing immersion. This is huge. I'm not a developer. I don't know exactly when those things sort of come in. I know it's up to artists, both the sound techs and the people who create that sort of art in the game. But I know that myself, when there are specific times, like with a warrior, when I'm swinging my sword, if you look at, and I've said this before, when you play a game like Terra online, when you get hit or you hit, you feel impacted. You hear it and you see it visually. Your character will be pushed back physically. Now, I'm not asking for that sort of a combat system set up because, you know, Carbine developed their own their whole entire server, what am I trying to say here? They developed their whole entire code. It's original to them. But I want to feel more impact, both in the sounds that we hear and in what we see. Now, I'm not asking every time that I hit a character that blood spurts everywhere. That's cheap. But I want them to figure out, and more than likely they have this. It's just about getting it cleared and getting it out there for us to be able to see. but I want to feel like when I hit somebody, I'm not just hearing, as you guys have seen with the Warrior live streams, it's just whew, 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 whew. I want to feel that. I want to see a visual representation of my ass kicking of somebody, not just a big number.
There needs to be weight behind the animations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Blink, that you mentioned that. I don't know if anyone had seen one of the vines that Stephen Frost had shared. We showed a bot that he was controlling in low gravity. And when his bot hit something, it adjusted its trajectory. So we know that they have both gravity and they have physics representations in game. Hell, the hoverboard gives us that. So I guess, because I feel like when you see people on the hoverboard, you do get pretty good feeling of movement. When you get up and you hit down and things like that, it seems like they have that in play. So yeah, I could definitely see how kind of overlapping that into the actual combat engine that they've written, their actual combat model engine, can they bring that same type of gravitas to the character impact? That would be nice.
So we're kind of like bouncing between like sounds and animations here, especially when it comes to combat. And Blank Space, what you were saying about, the warrior swing, for example, was one of the first things I noticed with that class is like, I could hear it swinging, but I was like, am I even hitting anything? It's just like, and it's just sound, animation, it's all, a really intricate part of like combat, and it's very important. But then there's like the other aspect where they do have sounds in that don't necessarily fit. Like I played Medic for a bit, and some of those sounds get extremely annoying and like repetitive, and if you just sit there spamming your heal, for example, you just hear the same wow 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 like over and over, and people even start using it to troll. Like while you're standing there, they'll come up and they'll start spamming it, and you're just like, who is making that absolutely atrocious racket? You're just looking around, you're like, oh, it's the medic, So you have to find that balance of which sounds are appropriate, which ones are not. And I mean, kudos to whoever takes care of all that, because I'm not sure I'd even have the patience to do that. But it's a very, very important part of the game. I do agree. I kind of want to talk about racial combinations, so get your little animations and sounds out of the way.
Well, listen, racial stuff, I know I've been trying to duck it all night. Why it's important is what you don't, maybe you don't realize it, but when you play certain games, what you see has a very emotional feel. It's very subjective. When you play a game like, say, Diablo 3, and you're running around, you crit things, and they bleed, you've crit. Because you see the big number, you see the blood fall, you get it. When you play a game like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, when the enemy is wearing Kevlar, you hit them in the head and you hear that noise, you immediately have a response emotionally where you're like, motherfucker, or, oh man, I want to try that again. Like, I know I can hit him in the head. It creates an environment where you're just like, you're more engaged in what's going on. Now, that's what they're lacking, and I really want to see, I guarantee we're going to see the polish up, but I really want it to feel impactful. Now, there is a very fine line to be walked here. You don't want to feel impact so much that you're always being dazed, that the impact has a in-game mechanic to it. I'm talking more about the visual aspect, but I don't also just want to see a blood spurt, every time I crit. I want there to be this cacophony, ooh, big word, of sound and visuals and perhaps even a little bit of character budge that goes along with the combat that makes it so immersive that it's just like, dude, it looks cool as fuck when you put it on video on demand. It feels awesome, and not only is the data being represented in a number form, but also through the sounds that you hear and the visuals that you see on the character itself. So go ahead if you want to do your next section.
We get to talk about combinations? Do we get to?
Yeah, we do, apparently.
So,
ouch.
one of the things that I'm really into, and this is kind of the reason we renamed me the Lore Whore, is because I'm really into the lore, okay? And I understand having the lore match, the class and race combinations, and even some people are talking about, having race-specific skills, which they had in World of Warcraft, which I personally didn't like, because, for example, I played a troll hunter pretty much the entire time I played WoW, and everyone was always like, well, you should be an orc because the higher DPS, and I'm just like, well, no, like, this isn't how I want it, and I'm happy that that's not an issue that we're having now with Wildstar, but what I will say, though, is there's some class and race combinations that, to me, even as a lore junkie, don't necessarily make sense to me. Like, it's the main one I always focus on. I'm a little tunnel visioned on it. Is the Chua? Why can the Chua be an Esper but not a Stalker? It's like the Chua lore is that they're technologists. They use resources to build stuff. They're the little tech junkies, And it's like it would make more sense for them to be a Stalker because they could invent some kind of cloaking device rather than having some kind of connection with the Force. And to me, it's like, they're also ideal because, sure, maybe a lot of people would play them, but I want to be that small, little sneaky class. Like, if I'm going to be invisible, being smaller makes more sense to me. So, I mean, it makes sense that the Makari can be and that the human can be, but Chua Stalker to me should happen. Chua Esper, I think, should be reconsidered because it doesn't make too much sense there. Now, anyone who is maybe more savvy in terms of lore than I am, please correct me if there is some line that I missed somewhere, but Anhrez, you were nodding your head. What do you think about combinations?
So here's my thing. I am not as deep into lore, but I straddle the fence between Blank and you. Now, I use lore to entertain myself while I do other things in game. I don't avoid lore like Blank, maybe, like some people would avoid the dentist or something like Blank does. But I do think that if you're going to have a lore immersive game, then things need to be as consistent as possible. So we know that the Stalkers use, specifically technology-based suits. It's their stances. It's been talked about in the streams. So to me, it seems like it's more logical that the short, fat, furry, maniacal bastard figured out how to, turn himself into an invisible Batman than to turn himself into, Luke Skywalker without the blade. Do you know what I mean? So it just seems like it. I realize that, matching up who, you want each faction to be balanced in some way. You don't want one faction to have too many, too broad of a selection and the other faction to have too thin of a selection. One way to do that is to unleash the floodgates and say everybody can be everything. That's, and I agree, Blank, I'm not a huge fan of that, but from a consistency standpoint, no faction gains a bonus if everyone can be everything. So if everyone's not going to be everything, then I think you need to look at the small nuances on why you say no and work hard for why you say no. I guess. I feel like the nose
in terms of balance right now,
classes,
it's purely an aesthetic one.
Yeah.
Can we?
It is right now.
It's all aesthetics because there's no racial ability, so at this point it's all aesthetic. So.
Yeah.
But it's not only that, and I'm going to throw this out there as huge supposition and non-confirmed bullshit, but there's a reason why they have it so that, you only have one weapon. And they've said that from the beginning. We made a choice, a conscious choice to make it so that warrior has sword. Because we can make a bunch of fucking badass swords. However, if you're able to have a bunch of things, we then have to split that entire department into making bunches of different weapons and tiering them based upon what level you are and where they came from. Why do that? Why not ingrain in the finer details? So in the future is a potential that part of the lore and part of the story will be that Chuas figure out how to, lift weights and do steroids and learn something from the,
like the Draken, and now all of a sudden they have the technology to wield a sword. Potentially, there has to be a place for where the game could go. I don't necessarily say saying that could be where it goes, but I think that there was a choice, especially with the way that we saw Chua and Mordesh revealed. They were revealed together on purpose. This was a marketing choice. A development choice was made very, very early on, years ago, I'm assuming, where they locked down who's going to be what. And they said, we're going to reveal all these things. I'm going to leave these two for last. And we're going to have to accept that for now. What will be interesting really is, that first expansion, that first burning crusade of Wildstar, if you will, to see what changes, who learns what, and how we got there. Whether it was through questing, path stuff, how they tie it all together, because that will be really interesting to me. But right now, what they've done, I'm comfortable with. The only thing that I've heard a lot of clamoring about is the fact that within who can play what, I believe that one side has more healers than the other. It's not fully confirmed, but there was a discussion about how Dominion has this many I believe it was healing, and Exile had one more or something like that. I'm not sure what that is. Somebody in chat might let me know. But anyways, any other thoughts with that, guys?
Well, I had a thought just generically. I think this is a very healthy discussion to have in general about what you think the game could be polished. I am excited about sharing crafting stuff. I'm excited about other people sharing econ. But, when we look at what's not been shared yet, there are, most of the more nuanced PvP has not been shared. Of course, war plots have not been shared. And, we have not seen either a DevSpeak or a Carbine supported stream on crafting in the economy. And so it's really difficult to say, the impact of long-term crafting and balance and itemization and stuff like that until we hear it from the actual, we hear it from the mountaintop. Then we can we can deconstruct and theory craft and stuff like that. So I would say that not in the TenTonHammer point of view about what needs to be polished, but I couldn't say if it needs to be polished or doesn't need to be polished, because I think a lot of us on certain side of the econ are really hoping for a good reveal, a very kind of nuanced reveal where they kind of go through the true utilization, auction house, the commodities market, how they link together, how that cred comes in, because we know the payment model and all that stuff. We have not really seen how it all links together good yet, and I can't say that does not need polish, but it worries me until we get to see it from Wildstar, from Carbine themselves.
What I will say though about Wildstar is that it reminds me that both games during the beta phase were, in my opinion, very polished. They felt very finished, and it's those small look at the details that we're talking about to talk about things that need polishing, right? The sounds and stuff like that. It's all stuff that can be addressed. It's not like, oh, all the animations suck, the world environment is completely messed up, you fall through the ground all the time. It's stuff that they can look into, and that's what I appreciate about Guild Wars 2 is that it had that very polished finish to it. Unlike other games in the past that I've participated in, Warhammer Online didn't really have that feel, and I don't know about how you guys felt about SWTOR, but I felt like it felt like it needed a lot of work. Even even Mike agrees.
It was a great single player experience.
All these criticisms, be aware that Wildstar's it's in a very good spot. It feels very finished. It feels very good. One of my favorite things to do, and I did it at the end of my housing videos, to just go around and hoverboard. I'll spend so much time just doing that, just walking around on it. But I'm pretty happy with it, honestly.
All right, with that, we're going to pop into some of the questions you guys had for the show. We'll address them, talk about them, and then we'll wrap up. So we are getting close to a close. First question's from Imperial Underground. Do you know if they have plans to keep the guild tier cap for members? I know tier 1 is 40 members and go up to 500. We don't know about any of their plans. Can't confirm anything here. Sorry, can't really help you with that at this time. If we hear anything, of course, this is the place that you guys will hear it first, more than likely, or we'll tell you as soon as we hear something. But at this time, no knowledge in that front. Vanquish Fury wants to know: is the Spellslinger the highest DPS so far from 1 to 15? I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna say Spellslinger is really great for sustained damage. However, they are not the highest damage per second. They are definitely the highest sustained damage dealer, depending on their build-outs, but they are also very closely tied with anyone else out there who's building sustained damage. The only one that at 1 to 15 who doesn't really compete in sustained, but definitely competes in burst would be something like my Stalker build. Somebody says, explain like I'm 5 what an econ PvP is, like somebody who controls the auction house. Would you like to take that one on, Rez? You want to explain what exactly econ PvP is?
Sure. Econ PvP as a term was originated, I think, I don't know who originated. It originated a long time ago, but it's about a person who focuses the economy as one of their main meta games. So you have people who love to do achievements. You know, they're the ones that run around. If I kill 40 of these ferrets in 5 seconds, I'm going to get an achievement. So they run around the world just doing achievements. And some people run around the world and amazingly good at PvP, and they want ranks and they want recognition for it. Econ PvP players are, you know, some of them are serious crafters who like to look for the hard patterns and become recognized as the best crafters. Some of them are auction house flippers who are looking to make their margin off of people not being as skilled or as knowledgeable on the auction house. Regardless, you know, people who are econ PvP are usually just as hardcore. They put in just as many hours as, you know, hardcore raiders or hardcore PvPers. They're just doing it in different places. It doesn't necessarily get them the same rep, you know, honor or gear that raid or PvP people do, but, you know, their lives are so much easier because they have either lots of gems, gold, cred, or whatever. So
I did want to throw in there, econ PvP. PvP is just a term that people understand. Econ is just economy. So you could put anybody who does forum stuff, reputation management, community management, and put PvP in front of it, and that's what they do. We have people who do brand PvP, if you will. You know, they're out there getting the name out of, you know, whatever it is. So econ PvP is what we call Anhrez. I believe he started calling himself that a long time ago. But the next question we got is from
I've known him.
Yeah.
And it's, will the PvP offense-defense be lines and amps? Will the PvP offense-defense lines and amps be overly important for PvPers? Will the hybrid line still be viable in PvP? A lot of people seem very, very focused on trying to make or be the strongest. Everybody is used to, I'm going to rant a little here, everybody here is used to the strongest build. And it's ingrained. It was ingrained in me forever from World of Warcraft or other MMOs, where if you wanted the best PvE damage, you had this spec with these weapons, and you made your rotation to be a certain thing. Wildstar has balanced really well, putting that into your hands and still being able to be effective. We're really going to see it when the game comes out and things actually unfold. But where you put your stuff in your amps is going to really strongly synergize with your team makeup, with your role in a battleground. More than likely, going down hybrid lines are going to be beneficial if you're going for a specific amp, a special amp. You're going for something that helps you within your role. the best part, what I really enjoy about the combat system and what they've built as a design is synergy is going to matter shit tons. If you have your flag carrier who doesn't have the amps to increase his speed and gear that helps him run faster, and he doesn't have go juice, he is not being effective. He doesn't synergize with your team. He's not doing his job. So when people start worrying about that homogenized best PvP warrior setup, best Esper, it's not going to be like that. And I keep trying to push this to people. That's why I play very specific things. People will be like, "Oh, on your stalker, you're not, helping with the fights." It's like, no, my job is not to help in the fights. I'm practicing disrupting. I'm practicing nuking down people under 20%. I'm one-on-oneing people that are trying to steal a flag. I make sure that our flag never gets stolen. I have a specific role that I do. So it's less of I am DPS, I do this. I am healing, I do this, and more of my role is very specific. I need to play it specifically. I need to build my LAS, my tiers of my skills, and my amps from there. So with that, this next question is for Anhrez. Are the time sinks in crafting worth the outcome? So
well, we can only kind of talk about level 15 and below. But one thing about crafting is if you have the mats, I can stay at level 15 and craft a little higher. So what we've seen so far is well, it's a good example, Blank. I sent you some level 14 gear today because you were doing PvP on your medic. And it was interesting. I made everything I could right around level 14, and I would suspect that out of the 6 items I sent you, maybe 2 or 3 were better than what you'd collected or wore, but I wouldn't expect that everything was better because, you
Right.
make choices while you're leveling. You make choices for your rewards and stuff like that. So at lower levels, I think the crafted gear for armor and weapons are extremely relevant. It's always hard to say, is it worth the time to go through the steps to then be able to make the item you want? It's not overly difficult in the armor and weapons, so I'd say yes. But Nexus, I'll throw this to you. You've done a little more architect work than I have. So that is a completely different time sink for the question for Fallen than let's say making some armor or making some weapons. So in your opinion,
Right.
working on the architect tree, how is the return on investment for making the items you want to make?
Well, it depends purely on what your intention is to do with that item later, the value that you hold basically. For example, if you're going to be blank space and you're going to want to craft, for example, your 5 major rest XP buffs, it's going to be a huge return on investment because you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. When, you've got certain items which are purely there for aesthetics, they look good, you can interact with them, whatever it may be, and to blank space, those won't mean anything, and he will never craft a single one, while I'll be there crafting 1,000,000 spoons so that I can set up my table in my dining room. The return on investment really just depends on the value that you want out of it, right? I think architect is going to hold its position in the economy, and there are going to be plenty of people out there who are going to want things for both, utility and aesthetics. But I hope that kind of answers the question that you're asking me here, Anhrez.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard right now without seeing all the way to the end. I mean, my hope is that mid-level crafting and starter crafting is relevant to leveling into ongoing gameplay, and it doesn't turn into just the slog till I can make level 45 to level 50 gear. That's the only relevance I bring to the game. So as we see more, I'm hopeful. But again, I was crafting my gear for my character as I moved up, and I found that in many cases, the stuff that I could create were just as good, or if not a little better, and I could fine-tune it. So, yes, I got a piece of armor that had 200 defense. It had brutality, but it also had insight on it because that's the item I got. And I'm like, well, what does this warrior need insight for? So I could craft about the same item, but I could fine-tune the stats to match the build and the direction I want my character to go. So, yeah, I think so. So far, Fallen, it's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll address this one real quick. It's a quick answer. Will crafting be on par with drop gear? The answer is yes. They've mentioned before that crafted gear is supposed to fill a hole within your leveling stuff. So you're leveling, you're doing dungeons, you're doing challenges, and oh, by the way, if you craft, you might actually pick up a belt that's a little bit better. So, yes, it will be on par. How this unfolds later on, we're not sure yet. Vrog's question is, will there be a trial version of the game? And if so, would you be able to buy cred in that version? Or will you have to buy the box title, then cred? Trial version of the game, they've already mentioned that they will be doing a marketing, I keep calling it marketing because it's what it is, a open beta a month before the game goes live, where the hype train will be running crazy. So will you be able to buy cred in that version? I'm not sure. We have seen other developers allow that to happen. Potentially buy the pre-order box title and then cred. Again, we don't know. Me personally, I'm cool with whatever they do because I'm buying a box and I'm buying a year subscription right up front. Doesn't matter, plus a shit ton of cred anyway, so it really doesn't affect me. But the next question is from Guild Umbra. How about the ability for guilds to upload their own image files for guild crest? I wish Beetle was here.
It's delicate, isn't it?
Well, the biggest problem, well, two things. The ability for guilds to upload their own image files for guild crest is something that Terra did really well. However, you do get the penis titty guilds that run around with their own image stuff. And then there's the, putting those extra data files somewhere out in the wild west of interneting that I don't understand. I don't see it being a thing, but we have seen guilds with their own already put in-game crest, if you will, around you. You've seen that on my level 15 medic. So potential, yes. I would love, you want to talk about making some extra dollar bills, again, if they made it so that guilds could opt in for that, like, hey, pay an extra $50 or whatever, and you could send in something that could be authorized and given a big thumbs up for. Gives them some money for hosting our files and making sure that people don't have the penis guilds running around. However, not that big of a deal. There is this next question here. It's from Ayer Viper. With the massive skill gap between good and bad players, do you think 40-man raiding is the way to go? Nexus, were you going to? No, you weren't.
What's that?
Sorry, I thought that what your statement was to answer that, but I guess it wasn't.
No. It's for the statement below.
Okay. That's good because we're both going to have a fun time with that one. 40-man raiding is definitely the way to go. And it actually ties into the next question that you asked, so we're going to get into that in just a second. I do stand behind Carbine with the scaling of how they've done it from dungeons, vet dungeons, 20 to 40-man. I think that's awesome. And while it is an old school ideal from, the old WoW times, it's still very plausible and possible. And if executed correctly, will be amazing. There was a question about my thoughts on the UI, and my thoughts are we're definitely going to see a couple more passes, both from people who've made add-ons and from Carbine in the future. So if you've seen a stream, if you've seen some YouTubes, and you're like, oh man, the UI, hold on to your pants. There's probably a bunch of passes that are going to change over the next couple months. And this last question we have here is, Wildstar is all about subscriptions. You're going to need a sub to survive. You can't say it's about the 1% and screw the rest. That's money you're losing. Before I go, Nexus, please.
I can answer that with one word. Well, I guess it's two, but one name. EVE Online. All right? It's that simple.
you just need your hardcore followers. Like, I'm pretty sure they only had like 40,000 active subscriptions a couple years ago, and they were still strong. They're like a decade in, and they've already planned like 10 more expansions. It's like, that is, in my opinion, and I'm going to be a little bit extreme in my response, there can be no statement more untrue than that one, in the sense that, like, you don't need masses to pay your subs to survive. And yeah, obviously, I mean, WoW is an exception, and I don't think that anything of that scale might happen again anytime soon. But you don't need that many people. You just need that steady income to continue paying your developers, and it will continue to be a game. Like, you need those masses when you have a game that relies on a cash shop, because not everyone's going to use the cash shop, and those that do might not spend more than $5 in a month, and there are others who might spend $2,000 in a day. Like, those are the kinds of games that require a large player base. A sub-based game does not. And I can tell you right now, even if Wildstar does not have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million subscribers, it will last a couple years. Purely based on what I've seen and the fact that there's going to be the cred system, because there will be people who will be playing for free and they'll be very happy. So I don't know, Blake, your turn.
You ready? If you have been on my stream and you've heard this before, feel free to blow up chat with fucking chalices, because I'm going to say it again. You'll have to fucking deal with it. Subscription is based for the 1%. Back in the day, we had Vanilla WoW. The reason that people, when we had Mike Airwolf, he discussed in detail about how he got into WoW so much was the fact that he wanted to be as badass as the guy in front of him. No matter who you are, there's something to be said for having the next item, the cool house thing, that piece of raid gear. Even if there are people, and I never understood this, there are people months behind. And I understand it now. Back when I was competitive and hardcore, I didn't understand it. They were months behind. We're in fucking Black Temple. These guys are raiding Mag, and they were happy. They were pumped. Because it doesn't matter when you put the content down. If the content is badass and fun and engaging, and you're in with a group of people that you enjoy, you're going to want to put the content down, whether it's fucking world first, NA first, server first, or just first for you and your bros. That's huge, and that's what they're trying to build here. They're trying to build a place where the marketing budget is not bigger than the development budget. They're not like, well, we're going to put $1 million into developing this game. We're going to put fucking $10 million into marketing it on this and this and this and this and this, so we can sell a shit ton of box copies, make double what we used in marketing, and then keep putting out crap over and over and over so everybody just says fucking and leaves. No, they've said, we're going to make sure. I mean, look at it. They still haven't had a huge hype buzz. They accidentally triggered a bunch of hype just by putting content out there. Like, hey, here's re-releases of our classes, 10 million views, all these crazy hits. They didn't even mean, that's not even them starting their marketing hype train yet. They're looking to retain players. They're looking to make the game what people have been looking for. The MMO treadmill hopefully is broken with Wildstar. You're going to get in. You're going to find something fun. You're going to find new people to play with. You're going to bring your friends from other games here because there'll be something that they enjoy to do. You don't need a free-to-play model. You don't need a box plus fucking cash shop to survive. And I'm banking on the fact that Wildstar is able to do this. Because it might start off with, like I said, and I know all the developers are like, oh my God, don't say like 1 million people, but if 1 million people bought the game and played it, but in year 2 million people played it, 4 million people played it, if they continue to grow and maintain what they're doing now, they will be just as successful. Yeah, sure, games like EVE don't have the same numbers, but they have longevity. They have a happy community. Is that not really what you're trying to do? If you're not trying to just make money, if you're not trying to just cover the box and marketing costs, isn't that what you want to support? Because I do. I'm done. I'll shut up. Where are we going from here?
I'm pretty sure that's
we got
guys.
one more question. No, there's one more question.
Oh, yep.
Do you know yet
One more.
if raids or warplats can be joined in a queue or must be in a big guild to join them? So blank, I guess the concept is warplots a looking for warplots option, or if from what you've heard so far, is it a actual kind of structured event that each warplot has to exist on each side? It's not like Nexus starts a warplot and he needs 20 more people. He just puts out a call and join Nexus's warplot. Does that make sense? I got a feeling of where the question's coming from. It's an interesting question.
I'm not sure what they've released about queuing into raids and warplots right now. There was a murmur about it was a couple. I mean, we're talking a couple months ago about there being potential to do something. I believe for warplots. I'm not sure what they were calling it. But other than that, like I don't know anything. There's nothing been confirmed for raids or warplots. And when you talk about big guilds, we've said this before, because of the way that they have social circles and things like that, if you don't have a big guild or a big group of people, you should be able to get together with other like-minded people to go and experience content together. So yeah, it might be a bunch of smaller 5-man arena teams, but they might get together and say, screw it, we want to do a warplot together. And the way that the community's been, I really see things like that happening. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't see it being like, hey, we've got 35 people. Is there 5 people want to go to our raid? Or like, hey, we've got a warplot. Does anyone want to just come on in? I don't see that being a thing. It kind of seems counterintuitive to what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be organized, heavily organized, well-geared, skilled individuals for the competitive side. And on the non-competitive side, it's let's go do this content together and smash around and have a good time. But I don't see it being like queued in like a battleground. But I may be wrong.
I guess that was my concept is, if warplots were ongoing, could I choose the temple? Could I choose Bloodsworn? Or you could say, if I go random PvP event, could you hypothetically get thrown in a warplot because it's 39 versus 40 and they need a backfill? But I think that's something that I'm excited about when you guys can get Jen Gordy on here the day after or the day that they reveal warplots. You guys put her feet to the fire, and then, it may be one of those late nights where Aegon has to open a second bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Or a third, or a fourth.
Well,
Aegon, you.
Yep, someone's feedbacking. I'll need to fix your stuff. Thank you. We're going to do a quick shout out here. Subterfuge Gaming is going to be having a section for Wildstar. We are still in the development stages of it. They will be playing more than likely on during European playtimes, and they will be going Exile. They have a different name. Still, again, in development, not fully ready to release it, but a lot of people have been clamoring about it. They've heard a lot about it. So this is a thing. It is in development. Subterfuge Gaming will be housing...
I think you cut out while you were talking, dude.
Just
to clarify, it's an EU section. I didn't hear the EU. I guess you cut out or something.
Okay. EU section, Exile, under Subterfuge, will have its own name. It'll be different from Subterfuge Vanguard. Subterfuge Vanguard is still North American, East Coast, time zone play times, and Dominion. When we're ready to release more information about the EU guild in development, we'll let everybody know. But there's a little teaser for you folks. With that, thank you, Anhrez, for stopping by tonight. Make sure to follow his Twitch channel. And follow us all on Twitter. That's all of us here. Like our page on Facebook. And we say goodbye to Wildstar 2013. great times, good memories, a couple sad times. Thank you guys for showing up. I hope you enjoyed the show. We love, bringing this content to you and sitting down and going over what you need to know. So, if you decide you're just going to go on vacation, you come back on a Thursday night, you sit down, anything you might have missed, we're going to give it to you. If you're watching on YouTube, we hope that you will subscribe and share this with other folks so they can know exactly what's going on with Wildstar. We'll try to share this amazing game, this amazing community with other people out there. That's it for me. So, y'all want to say goodnight?
Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. It's been fun.
Thanks a lot for all the great questions, everyone. We'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Again, hope you enjoyed the show. As usual, we'll be here next Thursday again. Same Nexus time, same Nexus channel. Hope you join us again. Until next week, take care, people.